Well, you know when you gotta quit and you tried to weld everything, or at least start the weld. Problem is, I started welding, and this is when, when just to close up shop. So I closed up shop. This last video for today. We're gonna finish the welding, priming and painting all tomorrow. So the thing is, I started welding. I'll show you the points. I really can see, but on the top, I started welding on the top, on the bead up here, right here, and I started laying that bead in, and it'll go around, and either you can grind it down and make another bead on top of it and really penetrate that, and then you got to weld the sides, the bottom. You got to do a little. You spend about half hour welding. It's all the prep work that takes a while to do. So that was not a problem. I'm sorry. I used to weld out there in the heat. It's 101 in my truck. I had to go to Napa to get some fittings. Excuse me. Let me not mention the name. NAPA. So copyright stuff. So I'm over here and I'm welding. All of a sudden, it stopped. I'm like, why is it stop? It's not feeding anymore. So got my welder down here, and I'm like, oh, I know what happened. I tapping it and nothing going through. And it's kind of the worst thing because when you want to get something done and you're running a small spool. Spool's empty. There's no more wire to weld with. I guess one day, I just got to switch it over. I got a real big reel. This one's made for, it has a argon tank on the pack, argon and CO2. And it's got the certain gauge that you need. You need a certain gauge wire when you're welding certain different steels. So there's a chart on the side here. If you look, and you really can't tell, but there's a chart here that'll tell you the gauges, and when you're welding, what gauge to use, what wire to use, and then you gotta adjust your speed in the front. You gotta adjust your speed and your heat. Here's the speed. And here's your heat. I got maxed out heat on D, and I got around 3.5 on the speed. So you got to get all that right. If you don't got that right, you're going to get a lot of sputtering on your weld. So you want a nice, clean, almost like frying eggs, just like that. And when you're rushing, you gotta relax when you're welding. That's one thing you gotta do. You gotta turn on the gas, and that's a mixture. It should be argon 2, CO2. It's a mixture of gas. My tank's a little dirty, and I don't have my glasses on, but I'm old school, I should remember. And you can set, when you hit the trigger, you're going to have a ball that goes up and down, and that'll regulate how much argon. If you want to really clean, max it out, you want a halfway, pretty good weld, let that ball go about halfway, and that'll give you a mixture of the settings. That's a little bit of, what do you call it, a little bit of a quick class on welding that I've learned over the years. I never took welding in school. I wish I did, but I didn't have to. One of my first jobs was like, guys, like, you know how to weld? I'm like, no. He goes, how can you do all this other stuff but not know how to weld? I said, I don't know. He goes, go over there on a muffler and go practice. That's it. I learned on a MIG welder. The MIG welder is pretty good. Arc welder is a little stronger. You got to stick, and you got to kind of, you're adjusting. Actually, I could weld I think I'm a better arc welder than a MIG welder, but I don't have this shop hooked up for the arc yet. I could arc weld, but it's light duty, so I'm only doing MIGing. And I'm not really, I'm happy with the weld. Quick weld. I'm talking quick. And then if you don't like your weld, you grind it down, do it over again. That's all there is to it. Just feed it in. And you want to lay it in like a sewing. You gotta lay a nice thick bead in. You gotta calm down, just kind of like nice and easy, and flow it in. You gotta burn one metal to another metal. That's all it is, and you're filling in with wire. That's what it is. Different kinds of welding wire for different kinds of steel. This is just steel, so it's pretty easy. But we're gonna finish that tomorrow, so keep on watching. That's it, baby. Done.